What are your natural assets? When I ask you that question, what do you bring to the table? Do you think about your skills that you bring to work, like an agile mind or your speaking ability, or a degree that you worked really hard to build expertise that you share? Maybe you think more figuratively about what you bring to your family or your friendships, like I'm a really loyal person or I have a great sense of humor. Maybe you are just sexy and you're not afraid to show it. And I say keep going with all of that. All of those assets fall into categories of intelligence that we naturally have. Our IQ, that we're all familiar with, our intellectual capacity, and the assets of social emotional skills that more and more writers and teachers are identifying as the EQ, or emotional intelligence. Now, in the work I do, I get to see another category of intelligence that I've come to understand is really like the foundational support, or more like a glue-like substance that connects the others to each other. And that is our spiritual intelligence. It's the quality, it's the solution in which all other kinds of intelligence swim around and meet up with each other. I'm certainly not the first to coin the term or talk about it. You can find books and articles by great thinkers specifically on spiritual intelligence. And at the heart of all of them are certain questions. How well do we connect with our inner being's voice, that discernment of the greater meaning behind the events in our lives? How readily can we access an inner equanimity or sense of balance and peace in the face of all kinds of different circumstances that come up? How much reverence have we cultivated for life itself in all of the forms that it comes in? And does the humility born from that reverence help lead us with curiosity to learn about parts of life that are really unlike us? Can we celebrate diversity from that perspective? How easily can we feel connected to something larger than ourselves, a purpose, a community, maybe the whole universe itself? Do we have a sense of our place in that broader system and our impact on it? These assets that can be described as spiritual awareness all have a really valuable role, and they are especially crucial to how well we face adversity, how well we revere and treat the earth that we're living in, and how we treat each other and collaborate successfully to solve problems. Like I said, I'm far from the first one to notice these qualities are important or to dive into what they mean. Philosophers, scientists, physicians, you can find all kinds of research, and even people who have created scales or ways of measuring our spiritual intelligence. So I encourage you to do that, absolutely. With all of that research out there and all of the anecdotal evidence, we're still a long way from collectively accepting and lifting up the importance of spiritual intelligence the way we do with EQ and IQ. So here are 3 things you can do today, anytime, any place, to start cultivating your understanding of your spiritual intelligence and how it can be used for good. My first recommendation is one of my favorites, partly because it surprises a lot of people that it has much of anything to do with spiritual intelligence, and also because it really highlights what a complex and fascinating apparatus this is, our human being that we live in. So first, let me share how I started investigating whether the IQ, the intelligence quotient, could be something that is alterable over time. Can it be improved on with certain activities? Scientists don't all agree about this. Some say your IQ is what it is from birth pretty much, and there's no changing it. To me, that's a little fatalistic and boring way to look at life, But I was glad to discover that other scientists absolutely have found ways that intelligence can be boosted or enhanced with specific activities. Now, one of those that stood out especially loudly to me was studied both at the University of South Wales and the University of British Columbia. They identified the same key activity that could universally boost your brain power. And it happened to be the same thing that I most often, first and foremost, recommend to my clients and my students in workshops who want to expand and develop their spiritual intelligence. And you want to know what it is? Aerobic exercise. Here we go again with exercise. Yes, engaging your physical body in vigorous activity for a sustained period of time sets off chemical activity that boosts your brain power, and it helps elevate your sense of awareness of your spiritual inner voice, connects you to your higher purpose, clarifies your sense of balance and peace inside. If you want to test this out, go take a speed walk outside under the trees and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I will get to that subject of being out with the trees in another video. Okay, a second thing that I recommend you can try today to help boost your spiritual awareness is what I call a belief inventory. In a simple, short list, you can get as elaborate or lengthy about this as you want, but you can also keep it short and sweet. Just a list of 2 or 3 simple statements of belief, your personal beliefs about the world we live in, this universe, how it all came to be, what the purpose of life is. You can get really existential about it. You can get really religious about it. Whatever feel like your most fundamental and crucial beliefs about your life. Now, in another column next to that list of beliefs, identify your sources. So, did you learn this belief from someone else? From an institutionalized set of beliefs? Did you experience life a certain way over and over and it created that belief in you? Is it just a gut sense you've had about a truth that you're not sure where it came from since longer than you can remember? Whatever the source of your belief, jot that down in the next column. Now finally, in a third column, with each statement and the source of the belief that you've stated, make a note of how it feels to you inside, emotionally, physically, to hold that belief. Does it create feelings of uplifting joy, hope, reverence? Does it feel discouraging or frustrating or bring about some kind of despair about what's going on in this world? Whatever feelings it creates for you to hold that belief, just put a note in the third column. Now, it's very important to remember in this activity that there are no right or wrong answers in your belief inventory. If we all have the freedom to think and believe whatever we want, and we do, our human capacity to think our own thoughts is universal, then how is it serving you to hold a belief that feels icky or puts you into a pit of despair? What kinds of inspiration do you get from your beliefs? Whether or not you feel good or bad tells you a lot about whether it's worth revisiting the source of your beliefs and whether it came from inside or from positive experience or negative experience. Your relationship with your own belief system is a crucial part of your spiritual intelligence and how well it's going to serve you in your life. Okay, finally, the third recommendation I have for something you can do today to boost your own spiritual intelligence is to seek out conflict. And no, I am not recommending you go pick a fight with your neighbor about their loud music or the mess in their driveway. I am talking about inner conflict. Those things that we go through in our lives that make us rub up against something, maybe rub up against one of those beliefs you identified in number 2, but something that stretches our comfort zone, pushes our boundaries. That's where we find what we're made of spiritually, what our spiritual assets are. You know, your comfort zone is totally personal to you. Stretching yourself, creating inner conflict could be something as simple as eating food spicier than your mom's mac and cheese. Or it could mean striking up a conversation with a stranger or taking a ballet class. Whatever feels like a kind of a crazy choice for you, that's what I'm getting at. And the most important part of this activity is your awareness in it, before it. How do you feel getting ready to do the thing? Notice how you feel going through it and be present with those emotions and sensations that it brings up in your body. And finally, where do you end up on the other side? Once you've put yourself through that safe conflict, what does it feel like to come out the other side? Do you have a new perspective? Have you expanded your sense of your own power in the world or capacity for change or growth? Or have you landed yourself back in sort of a regressed state of, I'm never trying that again? All of that is fine. It's just an experience to stretch what you feel is your awareness of yourself in the world and what you're capable of. So that's it for my overview of spiritual intelligence for today, but I would love for you to comment with your own experiences, like and share this with other people who might be interested, and please subscribe to this channel for more on this subject matter and other parts of your spiritual intelligence. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.